Hello and welcome back to the Tinkercad's video gallery. This is video 2 now of showing you how to make this storage booklet which is ideal handbag size, and you've got your some note cards here with envelopes and pen and paper, which always comes in handy. Okay, so we'll be working with the Bloom Sketches set, which I'm using the sunflower of, then mini mixed media backgrounds and the box blooms. So I've got some envelopes here and I've got the card bits for the inside. And to start with, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to blend the edges of my cards and my card bits as well. So, and for this one here, rather than doing it blue again, I'm going to use yellow and orange. So I'm just quickly showing you one envelope and then I'll do the inner bits here. So if you haven't seen this before, I tend to use shaving brushes because they do give quite a smooth finish, and it's really quick for sort of like blending my edges and getting ink onto larger surfaces, unless I'm intending on lifting some prints off my craft mat. So these envelopes are just some that I picked up in a pound shop because it wants something relatively thin to go into this booklet, because otherwise everything just gets too bulky. So I thought we'd just them up by doing some blending around the edges. So that's my yellows. I'm going to get some orange now, just a little bit, and we'll just add a little bit of extra depth, and then we're going to stamp the sunflower on them in orange as well. So once I've done the orange, I might just decide to add a little bit more of the yellow in the center actually, which I do, because the ones for my blue book that I showed you earlier, I only had it blue. I didn't do anything else, so that's quite nice now. So let's get my sunflower out, and all I did for the envelope was stamp the sunflower just the once in the corner. That's it. There we go, envelope done. So in each of these storage sets I'll use 5 envelopes. So I'm just going to pop these to one side. I'll do them in a bit when I'm off camera. And then next I've got the storage cards. Now for the storage for the cards, I didn't do any blending as such. I'm just simply doing generational stamping. I'm just going to put that underneath now because I'm going to do more stamping. So what I did there is I just inked my sunflower up with the orange, and then I'm stamping it approximately into a sort of like the corner, and then I'm quickly stamping it again just above here. Okay, and then I'm going to moisten my stamp again with my breath, and I just stamp it at the bottom here, and then you get this sort of like beautiful shaded effect and depth. So just again to clarify that with the second one. So you ink up, you stamp it into the corner here. Okay, and then you immediately stamp it a bit higher up. Moisten your stamp with your breath and just stamp it below. So that's all I'm going to do for the note cards. The other thing I did is I rounded the corners, so 3 with a larger punch and then 1 with a smaller punch here. And I do tend to round the corners at the end when I do something like this, just simply because when I've got the corners, it helps me to position my stamp a little bit better. I got a bit more of an eye then, so you can do it whichever way around you prefer doing it. So, and these are the note cards, so there are 8 of those that are going to be in the folder. And now then we're going over to our cards for the inside. So I'm going to put the orange ink away, and I'm going to put my stamp away for the moment as well, because I'm just going to do them all as sort of like quite quickly in yellow. So that's my yellow brush. So before I start, this one here is the is for one of the pockets, and I'm just scored 1 centimeter in on 3 sides, and that's basically been done for all of the 3 pockets. And because I want to have a little sort of something in there to sort of help you to get hold of your note cards a bit more easily. So I'm just going to use my envelope punch board, and I'm a bit of a stickler, so I need to see that I've got it in the center pretty much. As I'm going to use my envelope punch board, and I'm just going to punch 2 notches out of there, out of 1 each, so you get this sort of quite nice finish. Now you can use a circle punch or a flower punch, or whatever you like. It's just, I like this, and I do like the finish it gives me. So I'm going to do that for the large 2 pockets where the envelopes and the cards are going to sit in. So I'm just approximately aligning that now with the center again. And that's that. Okay. So let's put my envelope punch board to one side. That's just a really good use for using that as well, apart from making envelopes. Of course, you can make your own envelopes to go into these pockets as well. Right, the reason why I punch these beforehand is because when you start blending, you get a bit more ink around the edges, and it blends it in better. Otherwise, you'd be ending up with like a white or more like a creamy edge, because that's what the card is. And then the others are a bit darker and they wouldn't look right. So let's just get some yellow ink on here. So it's literally just to add a little bit of extra colour, and you don't have to be absolutely precise around the edges. So I'm just going to go a little bit higher, because that will be folded over here. So let's do that. So that is 1 pocket. It's got a little bit of the yellow on. And we'll be going to do this with the book as well. I might have done that when I come back and show you how it's all being assembled in the end. So we'll be doing that around the edges of the front cover, the back, and all around all the edges of the book too. So if I've done it, I will talk you through it, so don't worry. I'm not quite sure yet. It depends on how long it takes to dry, really. So we got this here. And then we got this, so that's the other pocket. Then we got the one for the notepad to sit in. And the eagle-eyed, one of you might have noticed that I got 2 score lines there, and that is simply because I cut it a little bit shorter than I intended to. So I'm going to only use it 0.5 centimeter down here. But the measurements I shall be giving you is for 1 centimeter. So of course what I did, the whole size of the booklet I made is based on the envelope size, and the pocket for the notepad, of course, of the notepad width, really. So if your envelopes are slightly larger, you will have to adjust the cover sizes as well, and you will have to adjust all the measurements. And if your notepad is slightly wider, you will have to adjust the measurement for your notepad pocket. So I shall be writing all of this down, which is which and what the measurements are for, so you can adjust the ones that you need to adjust. Right, and now I've got my little bit of an off-cutty type of thing, which I'm just going to do all over. That's the one for the pen holder, and I tend to cut that to size later. So we're done with all the yellow ink now. So pop that to one side, and we're going back to the orange now. Just blend some orange in just briefly around the edges. And that just sort of going around the edges adds a little bit more depth. So I'm going to etch them with orange ink in a minute as well. So I felt that the yellow card I had was going to be too much yellow, and so I went for cream and a little bit of yellow inking instead. But also I didn't want to go entirely for all out orange either, so you just do what you like to do with regards. So you might even want to use strong paper, or which is almost like thin card anyway, for your pockets, or you might just stick with card. I mean, given that I've used serial packaging to get my covers done, I feel that I prefer using card. I would like to stick with card for the inside, as it just gives a bit more added strength. So right, so we've done all of these. Let's pop that to one side. Now I'm going to, because I'm not quite sure which way around I'm going to use this, I'm going to do all 4 of these for the pen holder. Otherwise, if I had already in mind what I was going to do with it, I would just do 2 edges, because you don't see where the join is. So we're folding all of these over. And then next, what you want to do is you want to get some scissors and cut a diagonal line across here. On all of the pockets, and then it quite nicely and neatly folds like this. So hence we're cutting the diagonal line. Might just take a little bit more off and give it a better fold here. That's that. So that's one pocket. Let's do the next pocket. I prefer doing that after I've folded them over, actually. And then I'm going to etch them all with orange. So that's 2. And then I'm going to do the thingy pocket. The pocket for the notepad. So remember, sort of the measurements I'm going to give you, you'll have a wider line here. I just needed to get on with it, and I just couldn't cut another one, otherwise I would have gone back and cut a slightly larger piece. So, but that's another thing, how you can actually recover from your own mistakes. It will just a little bit more fiddly to stick it down later, but that's not the end of the world. So again, it's like this, where it's folding over and they're not interfering with each other, so it gives a much better, quite a neat finish. Right, So next, I still got my stamping mat underneath, which I prefer rather than going onto the straight onto the wooden surface. It's either a few sheets of paper or the stamping mat. Right, so let's get the sunflower stamping and then I'll etch it after. So I'm just going to stamp this off slightly so it's not the entire flower is on. So I'm only going to put one on here. And you don't see it, so it doesn't matter. I probably haven't inked it up properly. And then that's for my pen holder. I want to give that a little bit of a pattern too, so I'm just going to stamp it a bit like this. There you go. And this is the smaller pocket. So let's just stamp this. And I'm going over the edge a little bit here, about like that. Do one, ink it up again. And I'm slightly overlapping, not much here. 2, and then for the third one I'm going to go in with this generational stamping and just add a lighter one at the top. There you go. And again, that gives you a really nice feel of depth. So we're going to do the same for the other pocket, even though you're not really seeing it, but somehow it gives the illusion that then the sunflower goes off the edge onto the other pocket, because you only see a very narrow margin there. So again, we do it about like this. Nice one. And 2. And the third one coming in with the generational stamping, and this is a little bit longer, so I'm not going to overlap quite as much because I don't want to have an empty space at the top. Really, I want it to meet more or less with the top, so that is about okay. I'm quite happy with the way that looks. Seems it's got like a narrow border there, but once it's folded over you won't really notice it. And this is going to be our front cover now. We're going to stamp the sunflowers very much in the same way. Let me just cross check here. I went off the edge there. So we're going off the edge a bit. And the next one, which is sort of slightly overlapping, like that. Okay, and here we're going in again with the generational stamping. There you go. So what I did next is, of course, I did clean my stamp, and then I'm going to get the mixed media backgrounds out. So let's put the sunflower to one side. Oops, come off. Where's my mixed media? To do that here. So I'm getting my mixed media stamps out. And again, for to do these, I actually did use the generational stamping again, but what I did is I didn't do it on my card. I pretty much stamped off and then just gave it a little bit here as texture. It's probably not getting quite as much texture with this one as I did with the blue one, because I'm actually stamping off twice, so which I actually sort of prefer. I sort of felt it was a little bit too much for my likings on the other one, and then that goes just in up there. Let's do it a little bit more here. And then what I did is I just inked up a little corner, stamped off, and just went around a little bit into the spaces between the sunflowers, so that it just gave a little bit of added texture in there. So that is one. And then next we're going to get the dots out from the same set. So let's get the dots out, pop them on, and again I did use the generational stamping because I wanted them to be relatively faint. So I'm just going to go in like this. Just do something like that. So that's about it. There you go. And then last but not least, I'm going to get the smile stamp from the box Blooms out, because I think it's quite nice to leave oneself such little notices like smile and happy day. It sort of makes you feel a bit more cheerful on a grey day. Right. So we're going to ink that one up quite generously because you want that to pop out boldly now. And that goes into the corner here. So that's the front cover stamped. Right, so that's the front cover stamped, and all you have to do is now run your edges across the ink pad, and then you're done. And once everything is dry, we can go and assemble it. So I won't bore you with inking things up a bit too much. So running the ink pad across is just literally like that. So you can see you're getting quite a nice border finish without that isn't too heavy on all your projects. When you do the pockets, remember to fold your edges over before you do that, so that you get them there showing later on once they're folded. And just do it like that. So I shall leave you now and finish this off, and I'll be back once the outer covers are dry and I can assemble it all for you. Okay, back soon. Bye.